My parents immigrated from Salzburg, Austria in 1956.
My English language was almost zilch when I came to this country.
Grew up in South St. Louis area and eventually went to high school and college.
He came up one day and he said he wants to go and study for electrical engineering, St. Louis U.
When I graduated in 1971, I actually went to work for Container Corporation and became the electrical engineering department manager. The Container Corp actually developed the first can for Pringles, and then I started to develop thoughts and ideas about using modular construction to facilitate construction activities.
He fooled around with those Pringles potato chips, and they produced from 1,000 caps, only about 280 were good. And when he came home, he fooled around with those caps, and I said, "What are you doing here?" He says, "I'm going to try to put something up that they have not 280, that they're gonna make 990. I said, "Kid, go on."
I had a German boss that he and I had a lot in common, and we saw eye to eye on a lot of things, and he let me develop some early modular systems where we actually built an entire composite can line in our facility. We would test it, and then we would take it apart. And then as a result of that, I was actually exposed to Guarantee Electric. They had a division called Gizmo.
I did a lot of his projects, control panels that was his contracts to do. And he was the boss, but we became more friends.
And worked there until 1988 and left as the executive vice president of their Gizmo division. And it's there that I developed many more of these modular concepts, including for drawn and iron cans. I had an opportunity with Ball Corporation to go to Guangzhou, and really that started my relationship with Ball in January of 1990. I went to Ball and wanted to make sure they had a real interest in modularization, unitizing, and pre-assembly, and they said it's really, in their minds, the wave of the future on how to construct large facilities.
Rudy approached me and said, "I'd like to start my own business, and I'd like you to come along." And I was, at that point, I had 2 sons which were about ready to go to high school, and 2 daughters which were barely out of diapers, and I didn't have a lot of savings. And he said, "Well, talk to your wife." So I talked to Linda, and she made the comment that if Rudy can't make it in business, nobody can.
Fritz and I started a company with $50,000. I put 40 in it and Fritz put 10. As they say, the rest is history.
Our scope on individual projects was a lot smaller back then.
Initially, the firm focused on can manufacturing.
The early projects involved a project in Mexico.
At the beginning, we just had 1 or 2 key customers that had a lot of confidence in us.
When we were 10 people, 20 people, and we were all in a room, every Monday morning to have a meeting, listening to what's going on and listening to Rudy speak.
We kept things as small as possible. I had a reputation for being pretty tight-fisted.
We were really pretty much on top of each other. We had 2 or 3 desks in one little work area.
We had one little bitty file cabinet where Fritz held the key because it came down to people were taking the last pen, so he got a lock put on it.
It worked with Rudy and I. When he was in town, he was the boss. When he left town, then I was the boss. And sometimes he'd come back and he'd have to have a little talk with me about some of the decisions I'd made in his absence, but they were always done in good faith. We started in 1990. We probably were up to 8, 9, 10 people by then.
So Fritz and I went through this period in 1990 to 95 where everything really accelerated quickly.
Roeslein had just been awarded 4 projects from Campbell's Soup to convert the traditional 3-piece soup cans into 2-piece D&I cans.
Then probably our biggest was with Gadsden Ream in Australia. The reason that is so memorable is by the time that order came in, we had grown big enough to move from our first office.
And so in 1997, Rudy and Fritz decided to buy this building at 9200 Watson.
Everything really accelerated quickly, but in 2000, 2001, the economy in the U.S. and abroad went very, very flat.
We went about 18 months without any business.
Fritz and Rudy didn't take
paychecks for quite some time.
It was a difficult time. I've always felt that people have to feel a level of safety. They have to feel a level of comfort that, you know, when things get bad, that they're protected. What we decided was that he and I would not take a paycheck until things turned around. And then I went to 8 of my managers and asked them to take a 30% cut in pay. We did have to let some people go.
I can remember pretty clearly at that time thinking that that's what the future looked like, that we would be doing small projects. There didn't seem to be significant growth in the industry.
We kept everybody really busy trying to improve our unit section designs, our entire processes, and come up with economic savings on our systems, and we didn't just wring our hands.
The group hung together very tightly and said, we're going to get through this, but what are we going to do differently coming out of this? And we did a lot of things, and all of those things have borne fruit for us.
Rudy gave us a ton of opportunity, and he said, hey, we're starting with a clean slate. What does each one of you want to do? How are we going to do things differently?
Since that time, we've had pretty steady growth. The 6 guys that helped me through that process are now my partners. I think it's those kinds of episodes in a company history that really marks and identifies what you are and what you stand for.
From that point moving forward was, we're not going to look back now.
2002, things started to pick up. We got some major projects in Russia.
In Redbud in 2006, we started literally with 50,000 square feet. We diversified into manufacturing. We diversified into construction. We then also looked to diversify geographically.
I started the Denver office in 2006. One of our major clients, Ball Corporation, is headquartered in Denver. It made communications between the two companies a lot easier.
We started talking about why are we not getting business in China? So we opened up an operation in Shanghai, and that is specifically for the China market and parts of Southeast Asia, where we need to have price as a major component of our offering. Otherwise, we can't even get to the table.
Rudy has always realized the value, the market values in China for his business. We realized, we want to instill the American culture, the American mentality. I want people to lead.
We've completed 6 projects for a major can manufacturer out of Shanghai. It's very closely tied into the same business model and culture as Roeslein St. Louis.
Pre-assembly that we do here at Roeslein is very special to save the customer a lot of money and time.
It's like a big kid's Lego set.
You design it and break it down into small, containerizable, shippable loads.
So then when it gets there, it's all labeled and coded, and our installation people can put it all together a lot faster.
The modular design allows the customer to come to a central location and actually, in a pre-assembled state, check out these systems.
And it's a way to, minimize the risk on a project. It's a way to, control your destiny kind of thing.
So what we're able to do is consistently meet schedules. Every percent of efficiency is worth $1 million worth of revenue. Every percent of scrap is worth $1 million. And every day that you lose is a day that you're not producing several million of these cans. We've been able to take schedules that used to take 24 months down to 12 months or less.
We're a system integrator. We bring components and designs together and put them together in our facility at Redbud, and that we deliver essentially a packaged can line anywhere in the world.
The unitizing and pre-assembly is a tool in the toolbox. It's the philosophy of the whole company, of this whole modular building, this whole thing, which has made us successful and our customers successful.
We can't be complacent to think, hey, gee, we are it and we're going to continue to grow.
We formed a process and energy group to give some diversity to the company.
If you have concepts that are applicable to other industries, you need to convince those other industries that they are applicable and that you're the right company to apply those concepts to their industry.
We go after oil and gas market, chemical, petrochemical, power, refineries.
It's, really putting another leg under the table for Roeslein and branching out beyond the can-making industry.
And so what we've tried to do is make expansions. We've expanded Redbud 2 years ago. We are going to expand again by another 50,000 square feet. We're going to have a 40-ton crane capable of going up to 40 feet. So we're going to be able to do some tremendously large pre-assembled energy and oil and gas systems in that facility, which is unique to the Midwest.
It's entirely possible that group could grow and outpace what we've done even with the can manufacturing work.
It's come from just not an engineering company, but to fall in with the U.S. Trade Development Association. We've done the manufacturing. We were very successful at we self-perform our own installations. We have a commissioning and startup crew now. And most recently, we have started doing the building design and construction.
We're moving towards being a full EPC firm where we can engineer, procure, and construct not only the can plants, but other systems that can and do deploy unitized modular systems.
Thanks, Ann. Let me know.
Rudy has a saying, and I think we all live by it, we're not done until the customer is totally happy.
Roeslein really prides itself on the fact of going to the customer, sitting down with them.
It starts very simple. We ask them what they would like, and we start making our programs, making our architecture design. We write our programs, we take them to the job site, make sure that they work.
We have to design the piping, the steel. We have to procure all those materials. We work very, very closely with Redbud. We go down there and all the engineers and designers work closely to make sure that the design meets the quality that the client is expecting through their specifications.
Projects have done very well. 25 years of successful projects.
If you look at it, our very first customer is still a customer today.
When we talk about where is the company going, it's not just in that industry. Many, many opportunities that are now considered problems. What do we do with human waste? What do we do with all the waste that's generated by society today? How do we use our land more effectively? Roeslein Alternative Energy will deal with some of those issues. And in dealing with some of those issues, we'll be developing some technologies that will actually be opportunities for Roeslein manufacturing. We also have another company, Roeslein Real Estate, which has 2,500 acres of farmland. And my concept is that we hopefully can restore much of this highly erodible land into native prairie grasses that provide ecological services for both society and for wildlife. And bringing all three of these companies together in a synergistic relationship is really my goal over the next 10 years. And in doing so, I think it'll open opportunities on both sides of the companies.
The people here are our number one asset.
Everybody is equal. We play different roles in the company, but we all have a job to do.
We're not selling iPads. We're selling services. We're selling, whether those are construction services, fabrication services, engineering services, project management. It's all human-based.
Everybody's striving to do exactly the same thing, which is to create a good product.
We're teammates. We look out for one another.
They're just a great company to work for. I mean, they're family-oriented. They are very good to their employees.
It's a very friendly atmosphere.
They just kind of go out of their way to talk to you and see how things are going.
It's about everybody here. They care about everybody. They share with everybody.
The people are probably the nicest group of people that you could find.
They put an emphasis on making sure that we have a good family and work balance.
We think we're a pride of lions that stick together, and as long as we stick together, we can overcome almost anything, and we have.
He's put together an awesome company and respects the people that work for him.
I was a young engineer when I first started here. What I know and how I treat people and how I act is a result of them.
I want people to be happy, and happiness in life and in business is pretty simple. I think if you have a job that you're really, really passionate about, if you're doing it in a place that you want to be.
There is a different vibe here. There's a different feeling than what you see in a lot of places. And it goes a lot deeper than what even the customers see. And that's why I've been here for 25 years.
Rudy's way of making a legacy was to give back to the employees with an ESOP program, making Roeslein an employee-owned company.
The people here are extremely important. That's the reason I did the ESOP, is that I feel it wasn't me.
We will now do what I believe Rudy and Fritz, when they gave the 6 of us an opportunity to buy into the company and be owners, we now are being able to do that with all of our employees.
Everybody's pretty excited about it. It's a great offer.
I think it means that we're all accountable for what happens here. And we were accountable before, but now we're accountable to each other.
It's one of the things that I think is going to continue to make our company grow. It's going to continue to make our company great.
It's a great enterprise run by really good people. The true success of it is our leader, our teacher, our mentor, and that's Rudy Roeslein.
I have one gyroscope in my life, and that is honesty and integrity, and I won't compromise that.
He has taken me under his arm and introduced me and taught me a lot about business, a lot about philosophy, a whole lot about integrity.
He's been a friend, and also he's very professional.
Many of the people that I've worked with for 30 years are now my closest friends.
Got a lot of conviction. He believes in what he's doing.
He started the freedom that we have. He allowed us to make mistakes.
I think he wants to be remembered as a hardworking engineer, a hardworking entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur that passed on his experience and his leadership ability to other people.
You don't feel like if Rudy's not here that the ship isn't being manned.
It's a very strong core ownership group.
We all wear many hats at the company and perform many different functions, and the willingness of people to be dedicated, to stay late, to do what it takes to keep the customer happy. I think that mentality is up and down the entire organization.
We wanted this to be a fun place to work, and people generally enjoy their jobs.
It's been a great place to work, great people to work for.
Even 25 years later, even new people coming in today, and we're a much bigger company, but there's still a lot of opportunity for those young people to come in here, do a good job, be challenged, take more as they can, more responsibility.
Everybody only has one way to go, and that's up.
This started out as a small company, and everybody was tight-knit. I think that made a great foundation.
People that compete with us on system integration will talk about Roeslein being the gold standard to which other integrators are held.
When Rudy hired me full-time, when I was just 25 years old, he told me that he envisioned that the company could be a $50 million company. And even he, 10 years into the company, saw a vision of a $50 million company. And this year, we're going to knock on the door of $200 million.
Our growth has been substantial over the last few years. That trend, I believe, is going to continue for years to come.
It's difficult to put 25 years in words. Developing, the next generations of leaders is one of the things that I wanted to stick around for, is to make sure that we do have good leadership that's coming up through the ranks. When you look at the sacrifices, and I always mention it at Christmas time to the wives, I really appreciate them supporting their husbands in what we do, because without that, this business can't function. My wife, did everything. I could not have succeeded without someone with that kind of strength and integrity. But while I'm here, I plan on continuing to invest in the growth of our employees, the growth of our manufacturing operation, and the growth of the 3 enterprises that I'm engaged with. My wife gets a little upset with me because she thought I'd be retiring, but retirement to me doesn't mean that I can totally disengage from something that I helped create. Now what we have in place is the leadership and the employees. They're enthusiastic about our vision, and the next generation has to come up with some of their own visions. Where do they want to take this company? We have a outstanding group of people that work together towards meeting our customers' needs and their goals, and constantly asking our customers, are we meeting your needs and goals and expectations? And as long as we do that, I think our company will continue to be successful and grow.